extra, but not extra for everyone.
I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah, some of them are pretty old, so just double check and see.
you. And I get food, so just put it out there.
Yeah, food, drinks, all that.
I'm not going to stand. I'm just holding the chair for my child.
Oh, of course, just like it.
But I'm good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Willa, hey, I had to move your chair a little bit because we needed this space. So I'm sorry, I couldn't find it for you. But this is great. Good fun. Thanks for this.
Now that you're on the mailing list, you'll hear about all our different things. And we actually do have physical reference, but they are
No, we'll be okay. I'm just more thinking about if I could name you.
in there. So, but like, if you guys, like, if you get a picture of anything, you guys can put it on the website. But most of the stuff in there, you can okay, well, we can go to the website and kind of, there's lots of different photo galleries, different topics, the articles on right here, present day, maps. Right. Nice to meet you. Can I go?
Yeah, it is. There was one tiny Final call, folks. Final call. Lights are dimming. Grab a seat. Final call.
It's great to know that so many people love to learn about history.
Okay, folks, welcome to William Street Cinema. Boy, this is exciting. We have an incredible group of people here tonight. A really incredible group of people. I am a history teacher by training. I have been thinking about this for over 10 years. I started planning it last December. And I'm just really filled with joy and excitement that this event resonated with so many of you, and that you're all here tonight to learn more about Forest Hills and honor some of the experiences and stories and community building work for these wonderful people that have come before us. Right now, I'm going to very quickly just ask that everyone who's on the panel raise their hand so that we can give them a light round of applause. Everyone gets their own little round of applause. So, wait, no, I'm doing the names. First off, my neighbor, friend, family, the guy who really does about 90% of the work around here, Mike Priley. Could you raise your hand? Hi. Mike is literally bringing chairs down from his garden right now for us. So Mike's been here since 2003. He lives lives right here. Steve Dudley, raise your hand. Not yet, because we're gonna have questions. Steve moved to JP in 1975. He moved to Weld Hill in 1981. He's still on Weld Hill Street where it hits Wynnum. Amy, can you help with that, Amy? I'm actually gonna skip. I'm gonna skip a person because I have a reason. Next up, Kathleen Robinson, the founder of the Lehman Street Garden, moved here in 1983. Kathleen, raise your hand. Our neighbors and just wonderful friends, Mary Coonan and Amelia Malona. Put a round of applause. Moved right here to 22 Wyndham Street in 1996. And the impetus for this event was every time I'd go on Facebook the last few years to the Forest Hills group, someone would say, hey, what's happening with that new housing? What's happening with that new pizza place? What's happening with whatever? And always this beautiful, just like voice of like reason and kindness and warmth every single time would just chime in and say, oh, wow, like that actually was the Schwartz Pharmacy. And after it was the Schwartz Pharmacy, it changed to the like such and such bodega. And then from there it was sold to whomever. This is a person with a wealth of knowledge that is truly astounding. Let me give you a 10-second aside. I'll never know if my great-grandmother spoke Yiddish or not, or spoke English with an accent, right? Because my dad doesn't remember, right? And I didn't ask my grandparents before they passed away, and I'm curious. I want to know, did this woman from Poland speak English with accent? Did she learn? Look, I want to know those details. Tonight we have an opportunity to know things like that because choked up. Because of the presence of Shirley Hutchins. So give her a round of applause, please. I just like this. Moved to Wellville in 1939, right?
Yeah, my father bought the house from the estate in 1939.
1939. 1939. She moved here.
And I lived there for 75 years.
That's incredible. So, I want to just say a big thank you to everyone who's speaking here tonight. I want to say a big thank you to my neighbor Mike, who really, I could not do the cinema without him. I want to give a big thank you to the Jamaica Plain Historical Society and Gretchen in particular. Gretchen? Because she agreed to partner with me and do this, and it's been so incredible. Lastly, just like housekeeping stuff, if you need the bathroom, we actually use Mike's the bathroom in Mike's basement. So you go up these stairs, you take a left in a little troll door. You'll see it. It's lit up with beautiful lights. Mike's husband, Lip, is a glass artist, so all the glass work in there is original artwork. All the watercolors are original artwork. A lot of it's for sale. You can talk to them about that. Am I missing anything? No. Oh, of course. And a special thing. Your birthday is special. When you have a birthday, that's a special day, and you have lots of choices about where you could be. Hypothetically, you could be anywhere in the world. One person tonight chose to be here with us, so I want to say happy birthday to John. Can you raise your hand? John. There he is, John. John is back. So that's really nice. So that was, it's a birthday present for John. That was 8 minutes longer than I intended. I apologize. Without further ado, our Boston City Councilor for Jamaica Plain and West Roxbury is Ben Weber. Give him a round of applause.
Yeah. Thanks for the article on my mom. It was awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
my pleasure. Yeah, so I just, I mean, first of all, this is not normal to see just huge groups like this gathering, and so I think we really need a round of applause for Matt Schumann. I think like a lot of people, I've lived in Jamaica Plain for 18 years. People ask me, where are you from? And I it depends on who I'm talking to. And I think the answer is, well, I'm from New York, but I live here. And when do you get to say you're from Jamaica Plain? And so when I was running 2 years ago, the line I came up with was, you're basically 2 years away. If you've been here for 3 years, you have 2 years away to be able to say you're from here. If you lived here for 75 years, you're also 2 years away. But it's, I think people come to Jamaica Plain and they love it, and they make a home. They choose to live here. My wife and I chose to live here. We chose to have and raise our 2 kids and raise them here and put them through BPS schools. And my son just graduated from high school a couple weeks ago. Yeah, Boston Arts Academy. And it's wonderful. But something we need that connects us to the neighborhood is the history of the neighborhood, and hearing from people who've been here longer than us, I think, is really important. So I love Matt's idea. I thank him for including me a little bit in this. But you know, we have a Jamaica Plain Historical Society that works on these issues, and I've actually been working the last couple weeks to have my staff, my office, me and the rest of my staff be taken on a tour so we can get every piece of knowledge that we don't have already. And you know, I think like everyone here, you know, this is my home, and I love it, and I love that I get to learn more about it from my neighbors. So with having said that, Gretchen from the Jamaica Plain Historical Society is going to take it from here. Thank you.
Is this working? Yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Gretchen. I'm from the JP Historical Society, as Ben just said. I moved to JP in 1999, and I'm going to get choked up. I think people who move to Jamaica Plain also choose it, and when you choose to live in Jamaica Plain, you're from Jamaica Plain from that point forward. But I also love it because it's an amazing and vibrant community. It's always been eclectic and diverse. And I'm going to do a really quick PowerPoint presentation. I'm not sure if everybody out here will be able to see these slides. I will send it out to the Forest Hills neighborhood group and wherever else I can, and we'll put it on our website so people will be able to see it if you don't see the close-ups of these slides. Am I working this one?
Yeah, but I can make it for you.
Okay. All right, so the way I'd like to orient you to the history of Jamaica Plain is through some maps. So this is a map, you can see. Maybe this was a poor choice, but it's a map from Roxbury in 1836. So Jamaica Plain is this hilly area. It is full of forests and hills. So, and we know that indigenous people lived here. The glaciers receded several thousand, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, 10,000 years ago. Sorry, words. And indigenous people came here. We know they were here. There have been artifacts found when the Arboretum was constructed, when the Southwest Corridor was constructed. There were archaeological findings. Most of that stuff is not in situ, so it was found sort of messed up for the younger people in the crowd. So we know that there were people, if you ask Joe Bagley, our city archaeologist, he will tell you there were indigenous people in Jamaica Plain. They farmed, they fished, and they hunted. We know that from the artifacts, but we don't know very much about them. By the time English settlers arrived in the 1630s, they had been decimated by a pandemic, which we can very much appreciate these days. So very little indigenous population. In the 1630s, English people show up. They found, in 1630, Roxbury is founded. The town of Roxbury went from what we think of Roxbury today all the way out to the Dedham line. So Jamaica Plain was part of Roxbury. So this map from 1832 has Jamaica Plain. There are a few little, those folks who can see it, little boxes there. There's not a lot of buildings in Jamaica Plain. It's a very rural area. I put a white arrow. There is a Walk Hill Street. So that's Walk Hill Street. It's kind of going straight up and down. That was a path that was used by indigenous people. So the English settlers they got here, there were paths that went to the right places, so they just co-opted them. And then I also circled the Stony Brook. So the Stony Brook is the squiggly line running through the middle of the map. It's living its most authentic self at this point in the 1830s. It's actually meandering through the neighborhood, and it will not stay that way.
Is that the upper right?
Yeah, yes. Can you see it in the upper right? It sort of squiggles through the middle of the map. Also right through the middle of the map is a direct line that bisects the map. That is the Dedham Turnpike. We know that today as Washington Street. So that was here. If you didn't want to pay to go south to Dedham or Providence, you took Center Street, which is a squiggly line at the top, and then this is Jamaica Pond. Next map. I'm going to start talking faster. This is 1884. This is a map from the Historical Society website, which you go to our website, jphs.org. We have a bazillion maps. This is a really good one. We've got a dissecting line on this map. That would be the railroad. So by 1834, the railroad comes through, and things are changing. The Stony Brook still is kind of squiggling along, but if you look at the top right of the map, the Stony Brook is immediately straight. By 1884, it had been starting to be put into banks. So there were stone walls that channeled the Stony Brook because it was starting to flood downtown, what we know as Newton Square today, so downtown Roxbury. So they started to control it. it gets more controlled as we go along. Washington Street still at the top, what was the Denham Turnpike. Walk Hill Street still down at the bottom. A few houses, what will be Wachusett Street is outlined on this map, but it is not yet occupied. And then you'll see there's sort of large landholders. So Harvard has shown up at the top of the map. We've got the Arboretum, Forest Hill Cemetery at the bottom, right here too. And we're part of the town of West Roxbury. So West Roxbury was a separate town for a 25-year period. Last map, 1915. Suddenly we have the neighborhood we know today. So there's all these houses. This one is sort of oriented to slightly different. Walk Hill Street sort of coming out at the bottom. Stony Brook is still above ground a little bit over by the railroad tracks, but it's mostly underground at this point. It was put into a culvert so it could be totally controlled, and it's still there, it's just underground. But all the houses, the land is sold off. The Welds sell their land, the Seavers sell their land, the Wynot sell their land, all the landholding families, and the neighborhood commences. And the reason for that is the elevated train. The elevated train comes in 1910. I can try. All right, so this is a beautiful picture of Forest Hill Cemetery. Forest Hills is founded in 1848. The city of Roxbury founded this cemetery. It was the first publicly held garden cemetery in the country. Henry Dearborn, who started Mount Auburn Cemetery over in Cambridge, he was the mayor of Roxbury, and he thought, I could do a better job, and I have a perfect place for it, so he got the land out here. It's got forests, it's got hills, it's called Forest Hills. And then this neighborhood takes its name from the cemetery, which is a lovely and beautiful historic space, and we're going to leave it there. We're not going to talk about it now. Maybe the panelists will, though. This is a picture of the Tollgate Inn. So we talked about the Dedham Turnpike coming through, what we know as Washington Street today, in slightly different configuration. There was a toll gate. You had to stop and pay a toll. It's a turnpike. We pay tolls on the turnpike today. So if you're stopping to pay the toll, why not go into the inn and have a nice beverage and get a little refreshment? Come on in. So this is the Tollgate Inn. It was there for quite some time. Shirley, do you remember the Tollgate Inn?
No, but I remember the Tollgate Bar.
More important.
It was around. So here's aerial view from the 1920s. That's the Tollgate Bar, apparently. At that point, probably. You can orient yourself. The railroad is coming through in the middle, and the elevated train is on the right. And then the Minton building, which is still there, the big brick building where between Tower and, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. Woodlawn is across the street from the Tollgate building. And then I put this one in because this is in the 1970s, so definitely people will remember this one. They had started clearing land. They were going to build a highway through the middle of the neighborhood, the Southwest Corridor. So you can see there's empty land on the left of the train, and then there's sort of a semicircle to the right of the train. That's where the Tollgate Inn would have been. And again, you can see the Minton building across the street, the big brick building, the commercial building. So you can get a sense of where you are. And you can also see the Casey overpass in the background. I'm going to touch on that in a minute too. So the train was at grade and came through in 1834, changed the complexion of Jamaica Plain entirely because people could commute to beautiful green Jamaica Plain. But it was at grade, which means that people were crossing in front of it, traffic was crossing in front of it, and as Jamaica Plain got more and more busy, more and more people lived here, more and more accidents. So they ended up putting the train up on a viaduct, and it was granite. So this is a picture of the train on the viaduct. Just happens to be on our flyer for the tours this year, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So there's a train coming across the viaduct. South Street on the right, going up the hill. And then just so you get a sense of what it was like, they built the elevated train in 1910, so that's the structure on the left. And then the viaduct, the train up on this viaduct is on the right. So they were right next to each other. The train that we ride today, the Orange Line, the commuter rail, or the Amtrak, all on the same right of way that the 1834 Boston and Providence has always been on. So, and Shirley has some pictures of the deconstruction of some of these things. I'm excited to see them. Then this is just a trolley. So there was the elevated train in 1910, but there had been horse-drawn and electric trolleys prior to that. This is an Arbor Way trolley. The Arbor Way, the Green Line, E-Line, used to come to Arbor Way underneath the viaduct, so you can see it going under that granite arch, hopefully, until 1985. So I'm sure there are some of our panelists who remember when that happened. It'd be an interesting topic to talk why that didn't come back. And then, this is a little bit further down. This picture to Green Street. This is what it looked like when they knocked down everything to build a highway. Yeah, it's not great. There was a big swath of deserted land in the middle of Jamaica Plain. It eventually got taken over by the state. They stopped the highway project, and instead of building the highway, they put the Orange Line underground. They took it from the elevated underground, and they built a park over it. So we have the Southwest Corridor Park. Okay, we're getting close to the end. I like this picture. Matt and I talked about it earlier today. This is Forest Hills. We've got a trolley coming down the middle. There's a couple, maybe you can tell this, there are people building in the middle of the street. They're digging holes to put in uprights for the elevated train. In the very back corner, you can see a kind of a pyramidal object. That's a crane that they're putting in an upright stanchion for the elevated train. But we still got the trolleys on the ground level here in the front.
Is that Forest Hills?
That's Forest Hills. It's hard to tell, but hopefully some of you can see that there's a sign that says Oxford Chocolates on top of one of those shops. That's Dogwood / now Brassica, right there. And then, yeah, in the background there's a big building. That's the old Seaver Mansion. It became, at this point, Emerson Hospital. So this is very early in the 20th century. The elevated came in 1910. They're building the elevated. But you can see in the background, there's those forested hills, right? Semi-forested at this point. But there's one big house and another little house that you can kind of see right on the edge of the frame. And that's it. This neighborhood is in. And then,
That's what year?
I think about 1908. And then I thought I would just bring up some more recent history, transportation history. This is 2012. This is a picture by Richard Heath, who wrote an amazing history of Forest Hills, which Matt has been sending out in all the communications. It's worth reading. A lot of these pictures are his. I tried to get him to do this, he wouldn't do it. This is the Casey Overpass coming down. So in 2012, they disassembled this massive concrete overpass from the 1950s and reconfigured the Arbor Way. And this is, the picture we have says 2012. Yeah, 2015? Okay. So they disassembled it and they reconfigured the whole neighborhood. So I think Forest Hills is an interesting place because of all the people that live there, and I could talk for hours about it, but the people that live here are gonna do that talking for me. But I'm happy to answer questions at the end. And, yeah. All right, Nail.
Before you said at the end, I raised my hand.
Yeah, that's fine.
I was curious, I'm sure everybody's passed by this a million times, but the firehouse at the end of Wenham,
Yeah.
right on the corner of Wenham and Walk Hill,
Mhm.
do you happen to know anything about its history or like when it became condoized?
Do you know when the condos were built? I think it's the 80s, right? Yeah. Later? Yeah, I don't actually know the date of when it was condoized, but we can find
Sounds like a functional firehouse.
Oh, I think it was before 1980.
before 1980 it was a functional firehouse. Shirley has spoken. We can find out. It's easy enough to find out. We will find out and we'll post it on we'll put it on our. Okay. That was it, I think. Hang on. Oh yeah. But I do have tour flyers. The JP Historical Society is an organization to, yeah, they're right there. highlight the rich history of Jamaica Plain. We do that through walking tours. We do it through lots of different talks and lectures. We're going to have one in Forest Hills in November about early women voters. In the Minton building, there's a new space in there, so I'm excited about having that there. But sign up for our email list and you'll get all the information. But without further ado, let's bring all our panelists in because that's what we're doing.
And a round of applause.